Welcome, your faces, back to Pommy and Oz. I hope we're all doing well, young and old. Much love. I'm Pommy. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're covering all the off-season, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We cover it all in depth. We have a nightly show. We're going to have a live for the last day of the trade period, and then we'll be live for the draft. We've got some live mock drafts coming with some special guests, some live trade chat and stuff. It's going to be really exciting, so stay tuned for that. And today we're doing the mock draft as of the 16th of the 10th at 1 o'clock. So if anyone's in the comments after that saying the picks have been traded, yeah, well, I'm not a time traveller. Not a time traveller. So let's have a look. Pick one. I think at this stage, West Coast Eagles take Harley Reid without a shadow of a doubt. I think that they take him. I think he's a generational forward and a generational midfielder. He is that modern day player that literally changes the game. And I have a tier that I call gold, which is basically top 5 players in the competition. Harley Reid suits that bill. I think it's a no-brainer if they've got it. I do think if they trade it, though, my honest opinion is that that looks better in the plus loss. Do you know what I mean? I think that actually works out very good for them because the next 2 players we're going to talk about, but it would have to be a pick for 2 and 3 for me. It would have to be for West Coast to think about this. But Harley Reid, I think, is pick 2. I mean, pick 1. Pick 2, I think there'll be a match bid. I do think North will bid on Jed Walter. Jed Walter is another gold standard player. This kid is incredible. The modern day forward, the thoughts of Gold Coast pairing Ben King with Jed Walter is purely terrifying. And you can see Dimmer has probably looked at what they're getting this year and gone, boy, oh boy, I'm going to be in for a treat in 2 or 3 years. Jed Walter is pure class. And I think he is easily, arguably, probably pick 1 as well. It's a shame that we have these NGAs because some of these teams won't be able to do it. And then in a pick 3, Danny Curtin. I do think he'll go high. I think this will be the carrot that they dangle West Coast Eagles that they'll take him. But I do think they'll take Daniel Curtin here. An incredible footballer that can play a myriad of positions. He's definitely a point of difference for North Melbourne as well. I suspect that with them going after Toby Pink, they've got Big Ower as well. I think that they're going to look at that key position player elsewhere and try and develop it. And Danny Curtin can slot in that intercept defensive position and has scope to go into the midfield as he gets older. I think that this is an incredibly no-brainer. I think they'll pair him with Colby McKercher, another gold standard player here. I think he's quietly gone about his work in junior football, and he is the most complete midfielder in this. He can go outside, he can go inside. He's tenacious. He is a point of difference for the players that they have already. I think this is a no-brainer for me, and the Tassie boy will end up there. With a match bid from Hawthorn, I think Hawthorn will be sneaky here, and they should be because they should be the most pissed-off team in this AFL draft. They have been absolutely shafted by the weird and wonderful rules, and I think that they will start pissing people off. And Ethan Reid, for me, is the primary ruckman in this draft. This kid can play, and he's also had a lot of scope playing down the back as a key position defender and a key forward. It makes sense to bid on him, but it also makes sense to match him, and Gold Coast will match him, and I think the bid will come a little bit earlier than they plan. But that would leave pick 6, and I would be shocked if they don't take Zane Dersma. I think this is the point of difference that they're looking for. Massive scope to become a midfielder as well, but he is tenacious. He's a goal kicker. He's an excitement machine. I think he is that little gem that they're missing, and I think he will be a terrific footballer for Hawthorn. Pick 7, and again, when we talk about NGAs and points, West Coast, they don't have one in this, but the Dogs have been very smart. They have got ahead of their father-son, and Nick Watson, I would suggest, who is another very crafty footballer. I think they'll look for him, and I think they'll prefer him over Riley Sanders. I think this guy has got something about him, and I think that's what it is. Pick 8, Melbourne. I think they will take Riley Sanders, and I think Riley Sanders is a real Melbourne footballer, really solid, well-rounded, and he suits what they're looking for. I think he's a little bit of a point of difference. He's going to learn off 3 terrific midfielders who have all 3 different type of players in Clayton Oliver, Petraka, and also Viney. And if he can get just 10% of what they do well down pat, this kid could be a very good player. Then I think GWS, they've not been known to do it before and annoy people, and I think they'll do it again. I think they'll have a bid on Jake Rogers, which is about there. He's about 10 to 15. And I think Gold Coast will match it. And I think this one's a really interesting one because Jake Rogers is a really exciting talent, a really, really exciting talent, and one that's kind of not been given the media coverage of the others. But I suspect that happens. And that leaves them with Darcy Wilson. And Darcy Wilson, I think, is a no-brainer for them. Again, a mid-forward. He's very creative. I see a lot of Canelio in Darcy as well. I look at it and I think they like them type of players, and they have a real good history of looking after them players very well, particularly from interstate. That'll be pick 11, and I think they'll go Nate Caddy. Tom Hawkins not getting any younger. They dilly-dallied with his contract. I think Nate Caddy instantly slides into there as a real excitement machine. I can see him being a Geelong type of player as well. And what I mean by that is he's a sensible little kid. He's a sensible kid. And I think, you know, learning off Cameron, who he's got very similarities with his high athletic ability and the fact he plays a little bit differently, and also Tom Hawkins and the way he's used his body, he's going to get a real crash course. And I think Nate Caddy will be a superstar. And I think when we redraft it, he'll be a lot higher. Pick 12, I think with them losing Zerk Thatcher, they'll look at what they can do. And Connor O'Sullivan has the ability to play front and back. Very good in the air, though. Very strong aerially. I think Essendon will pick him. Pick 13, and I think this is what kind of Adelaide are looking for. Adelaide are looking for that little point of difference, that little thought of what do they need as a key defender. They've lost a few players there. They've got the backup now, but I think Ollie Murphy gets to slide in there. Now, he is a sandy dragon, but I think they'll do something very intelligent with their two picks, and I think that they'll take Victorians to pair them up. And I think Ollie Murphy will be an incredible player at a very strong football club. Then I suspect a bid comes in. I'd imagine Melbourne look at this guy and go, you know what, I want a bit of a taste of this guy. And I would be very surprised if there isn't a bid on Jordan Croft at this point. I think Melbourne will have a sneak at him and cause the Dogs to match him. Then I think that they'll take Caleb Windsor, Melbourne, and he is a real genuine outside threat. They've lost James Jordan, who was that swing, that pinch hitter who played out wide. I think Caleb Windsor, very similar to Lockie Hunter in the way he plays, with a bit more skill in the defensive side of the game. I think they'll look at that and say that this can give us that little bit of outside run, a little bit of point of difference. Very nippy, very evasive. This one I thought was a really interesting pick, and I think Sydney will go with James Leake from Tassie Devils, the halfback who plays a little bit taller than he is, got a little bit of shades of Dane Ramp about him, and I can see them going with that with their aging. I think this guy here slots in, and it really allows players like Blakey and stuff in the next year or so to play a little bit higher up the ground like they like to do. Pick 17, and this was an interesting one because I was like, what do Saints need? And I think that they've got rid of a few of these type of players. I think Riley Hardiman could be that Hunter Clark they've always dreamed of, that Nick Caulfield they've always dreamed of. Very solid player at Swan District. He's got great turn of place. He attacks the game hard. I think pick 17, if he's there, that's what Saints would take. A bid coming in for Hawthorn, Will McCabe. He, again, can swing both front and back, and I think Adelaide will have a pop with them having the next pick, South Australian boy, just doing it. But then I think they'll take Harry Di Matteo. And I think that this makes their forward line the most dangerous forward line on paper in the comp, with Rochelle, with Mr. Di Matteo, and also Rankine. I think that is fearsome. And this is a huge upgrade for me and Shane McAdam, a guy that has got a point of difference and it suits what they're building. I think he's going to really set tails wagging. And another Victorian boy to join their first pick that we've got scheduled here, which really, you know, just makes it, evens it out. And him and Ollie Murphy bunk together and everyone's fine. Then I think Melbourne, they've got some really good picks, North Melbourne. I think they'll look at Archie Roberts, real talented player. He's got his head switched on, uses the ball well, can play down the back and in the midfield, inside and out. Real versatile. It adds massive depth straight away and a real exciting factor there. Then GWS, and I think they take my boy Colton Tholstrup. I think this guy here is an incredible footballer, and he really does suit the way that GWS play, particularly with the movement of the ball being so incredibly fast. I think GWS will snap at him here. And then North Melbourne, I think they'll take Chu Jive, and this kid here is incredible. Everything they wanted Aaron Hall to be, I think this guy will be it and more. I really like the way this kid moves, and I really like everything that he's brought so far. Archie Reid, I think they do want to look at maybe some key position depth and maybe a project there. And Archie Reid is just a little bit different to everything they've got. Incredibly tall, incredibly versatile, very quick. I think it really suits the bill. The reigning premiers, we're up to pick 24 already with a round 1 with the matches. Lance Collard, he's been a late bloomer. He's really shone. He is linked to the West Coast Academy. They can't match a bid in the top 40. I think that their loss will be Collingwood's gain. I think if he's there, they'll take him. And that finishes with Charlie Edwards, another Sandy boy, which would be a very good logical balance. A lot of Rory Sloan about Charlie Edwards. Very mature head, very versatile. I think that will be what they look to do. That is my mock draft. Are you happy with them selections? Let me know where your clubs will go. And until next time, Pom out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh